Let's welcome back to the show NFL Hall of Famer Dick Vermeil. Coach, always great to get a few minutes with you. Thanks for the time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on so we can talk a little bit about the Concours D'Elegance, at Simeon Museum coming up.
Coach, not only do we want to talk about that and many of your other passions, because you seem to have so many of them, but before we get started on those, I personally just wanted to talk for a minute about wine, cars, and charity, especially since I had one of your Cabernets just a few weeks ago. How
Great.
much are you loving working at the vineyard and producing the wines that you produce with your family?
I'm just a small portion of it. I have partners that, with the financial side of it, that turned my hobby into a full-fledged business in 2008. And now it's a nice little business. It doesn't make money, but we pay all our expenses. But nobody's made any money. But we do make very good wines, and our wines are getting a very, very good grades. 95s, 96s, 93s, especially the Cabernet. So we're proud of that, and we sell everything we make.
All right. Well, then here's the big question: of those different wines, is your favorite the Super Bowl champion wine, or your Hall of Fame wine?
No, my favorite is the Rosedale Block Cabernet.
Okay.
The Rosedale Block of ground that the vines are that produce that Cabernet is the most respected piece of ground within the 170-acre vineyard by our winemakers. They claim, if everything was perfect, they could produce a 100-rated Cabernet off that block of ground. And it's only about 2 football fields away from the Pickett Road Cabernet, which is not much below it. Okay. So I'm proud of those, and I like them all. Though if I was going to pick a favorite, I'd say the Rosedale Block Cabernet is my favorite.
Wow.
All right. Well, that'll be next on my dinner list. The Pickett Road was the one that I had, which was amazing.
Yeah, it's expensive. All the wines are expensive. Now, you can spend more money and get not a better wine. But when you don't make very much, like, for example, we're talking about maybe 120 cases at the most of each one of those. So it's not a lot of wine. And, we don't own anything other than really the label. So everything costs us a little more to make. We don't own the vineyard, though my great-grandfather owned a good portion of it a long, long time ago. The same family that's owned it now over 100 years. Now the 4 kids run it. And I was babysitter for some of those kids. So I've been involved with the vineyard the whole time. The wines are made at Meadowwood Winery in the Silverado Trail. Thomas Brown, our top wine consultant, owns part of it, so our wines are made there. And Timberonic is our main winemaker within that situation there, and they just do a very, very good job. Yeah.
You just have a passion for everything. We knew your passion for football growing up as fans. We hear your passion for wine and your passion for helping people. Let's talk about Cool Cars for Kids and the Concord D'Elegance. You're a car guy. This year it is Jaguar for the show, but talk about who benefits and why it's so important that we support this effort.
Well, this effort supports genetic disorders. And, CHOP, Children's Hospital, does a wonderful job with so many different things. But really, the genetic disorders, they have to raise some money on their own. It doesn't get supported quite like some of the major things that you hear about every day. But, children are born every day with some kind of a genetic disorder. And we have a 32-year-old granddaughter, Amy Vermeil, that was born with a genetic disorder. And God love their parents, David and Janet Vermeil. They do a wonderful job with her. But these funds help support the things that the CHOP doesn't support independently, like they do maybe the cancer funds and all the leukemia funds and all these heart funds and all these other funds. And I'm not being critical of them. It's just this makes this Cool Cars for Kids event each year more important. Okay. And Dr. Ian Krantz is the guy that heads it up. And he was the doctor that was involved with Amy Vermeil 32 years ago and since. And I just respect what he does and all the volunteers do to help raise money for this specific area of need. And Simeon Foundation hosts the event. Now, the gala is Saturday night, June 22nd, and it goes from 10 to 4. We serve good food, good wine, and get to tour the, the museum, which is one of the finest in the world. It might be the best kept secret in Philadelphia. I mean, it's a little hard to find, but it's unbelievable. And then next morning, starting at 10 o'clock, they have the concourse featuring the Jaguars, but there's far more than just Jags there. Believe me, the museum itself has one of the largest collections of the world of rare old race cars, and with backed up by video scenes and showing the cars in action. And I get excited every time I go in there. Okay, I really do. It's such well done. Simeo Museum is not at 6825 Norwich Drive there, over there in that airport area. And this is the 7th annual event, and thanks to Dr. Ian Krantz and all his support staff. They're all volunteers. Okay, they're all volunteers, people that care about other people, and hopefully this will be our most successful. This is the first time we've held a gala, the dinner, on a Saturday night rather than a Friday night, and the museum Jaguar show on a Sunday rather than on a Saturday. I think last year we featured Porsches. Each year we feature a different old famous car, and of course Jaguar is famous and still famous. Porsche is famous and still famous, and Alfa Romeos, Bentleys, and Mercedes, all these different cars. It's really a wonderful event.
Coach, the amazing part of charity is not only the passion for the cause, but you've been able to merge that passion with your passion with cars. You've been on our show before talking about your background with cars and your family. Yeah. How important is it for you to be able to explore that passion and merge these two passions in order to raise money for such an important cause?
Well, at 87 years old, you need to have things that continue to stimulate you mentally and emotionally. And these things, like the old cars, the wine business, giving people, it's a deep passion with me and my family and a lot of friends. And it's stimulating to get up every morning and still have something important to think about. I think it really helps me, on the emotional and mental side. And it's just, I'm one of those kind of personalities. I need something to do today. Okay. And if I don't have it, I create it. And my wife, Carol, says, God, Dick, you get involved in so many different things. I said, but it keeps me alive. It keeps me affiliated with people that care about other people, and every time I'm around those kinds of groups, and many of them, you walk away humble because you see so many people that give so much more.
Well, one of those friends you've come across through the years in the Eagles organization is Meryl Reese. And
oh, yeah. God bless him. Hall of Fame. Here he comes.
We saw the notification this week. He's going to be the 2024 Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award winner. Talk to us about Meryl and what it means for him to get that recognition. You're somebody who got that recognition recently yourself. Talk about that.
Well, he earned the right to be selected for the Hall of Fame by being who he is. He always was Meryl Reese. As a young man, I remember the first year when we lost our guy, and he took over. I think it was 1977. And here's this young kid that had earned the right by doing the right things in preparation for the opportunity once he got it. And then every year he added to it. 12 years with Stan Walters? How many years now with Mike Quick? And to me, having worked in St. Louis for 3 and Kansas City for 5, there's nobody that matches him. Nobody matches him. And I'm so excited. I just found out myself, that he's going in. And Sal Palantonio texts me, and Sal Palantonio is another guy that deserves to get in there, and eventually he will. But I think every football fan in Philadelphia will just relishes the thought that he's going into the Hall of Fame. Nobody deserves it anymore.
Coach, somebody that's followed in your footsteps in coaching both the Eagles and the Chiefs, Andy Reid, another Super Bowl. What do you observe about Andy Reid, the way that he does his job, and where he fits within the pantheon of coaches?
Well, to me, he's one of the 2 or 3 finest coaches that ever coached. Okay, I'm on the Hall of Fame. Okay, and I feel guilty that there's other coaches that aren't in there yet, and hopefully they will. But as soon as Andy Reid becomes eligible, he will be in. There's nobody right now in the league doing a better job than he's doing. Nobody. And what I admire about him is his emotional stability. He's had many highs and lows on the field and in personal life, and he's been able to control all that and go from there and keep doing what he does better every year. It's just, I'm amazed by it. The other thing I'll tell you, the night of the Gold Jacket Award for me 2 years ago, I've come down out of the elevator. Now, Andy Reid's is in minicamp in Kansas City. I come down out of the elevator to go to the Gold Jacket Award the night before the induction ceremony. And who was standing there waiting for me? Andy Reid. Can you believe that? He's standing there, greeted me, congratulated me, hugged me, and it brought me to tears. And then he got back on a plane and flew back to Kansas City. How could he find time to show up there like that? It just shows you. I will never forget that. That's one of the finest honors of respect I've ever received in my life.
Well, I mean, you guys are a pretty small fraternity in terms of coaches that have gone through what you've all experienced. And we've got our own here in Philadelphia with Nick Sirianni. Obviously, the end of last season was challenging. You're somebody who's gone through, tough seasons, come back the next season, turnover with staff. Can you talk about the job that Nick has to do coming off of the hangover from last year with the new coordinators that are brought in?
Well, he's got to go back to the exact routine that he had when he took them to the Super Bowl, and then add to it. You can't remain as good as you were in the NFL. You got to get better. That's why so many Super Bowl teams don't repeat the next year. They think they have arrived. This is a new world. We're the best in the world, but you don't remain the best in the world by remaining doing the same things you were doing to get there. You got to keep improving. And I think Nick will accelerate the entire program, and I think they'll be a very, very fine football team. The new defensive coordinator is a fine coach, and with many years of experience, and you've got to lean on those kind of people. When you lose good assistants, it's hard to replace them. And when you have great assistants, say, get hired away. So you better be prepared. Yeah.
Coach, that's one of the best sayings I've ever heard for sports in life. You can't remain as good as you were. And now you have the Eagles going into this season kind of saying the same thing by bringing in a running back at the level of Saquon Barkley. How important it is, even in a day where passing seems at a premium, to have a running game and to have somebody like Saquon Barkley in the backfield.
Yeah, well, he's the best of the best, okay? And I don't think he's lost a step. Yes, he went through injuries and that stuff, but he's never had a great support staff offensively. He's never had the offensive line he's going to have here. Howie Roseman's done a spectacular job with personnel here. Yes, we all make mistakes from time to time. You're not going to be perfect. But his percentage of success with quality players is very, very high. And Saquon is going to be running behind an offensive line better than anything he's run behind since he left Penn State, okay? And I really expect him to really excel. The big thing is give him a number of opportunities to show how good he is. If he only runs the ball 10, 12 times a game and catches 3 passes, you aren't getting your money's worth, believe me, because he is a guy that can break a game wide open, either catching the ball or running the ball. So I'm excited about his contribution.
Well, and obviously he'll have a new center blocking for him. And I'm curious, with the departure of Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, you saw a lot of leadership go out of the building. People who had been here for a long time. You're somebody that had your 7 principles of leadership. Can you talk as a coach about how you identify those core leaders on the team and how you develop your own principles?
Well, first off, you make sure how he drafts properly and he fits the kind of character you want. So he doesn't come in with many character issues. Every once in a while, there's a difference between guys that have serious issues and guys that are just immature. There's no correlation between age and maturity. Some kids have some issues because they're immature. And sometimes as a coach, especially if you've been in it a long time, you could recognize all he needs is to get in a structured, disciplined program and get him to buy in, and he'll excel. And Howie's done a great job with that. And Nick has done a great job. And the coaches before, have done a good job. But you have to start with overall the evaluation of the people you bring into the program, that you draft, that you sign as free agents. Do they fit the mold that you want?
Coach, Jason mentioned it briefly with Jason Kelsey. He was a leader on this team and a center. How important is it going to be for the Eagles, despite having the veteran offensive line that they have, to make sure that they find the next center? And how important, just in general, is a center to a team?
Well, to me, Kelsey was more than a fine football player. He couldn't help himself to spread his passion for everything he does. That's his nature. He was gifted at birth. His parents passed on some great genes. Okay, his DNA is deep, and I think they'll be able to match his physical performance, but the combination performance will be very, very difficult to match. There aren't many of those guys around. I'm sure he has some faults and weaknesses. His wife probably has found out over the years of marriage, but they're very few, and they aren't displayed on the football field, in the practice field, in the meeting room, or in the locker room. I've had players like that. Not many that reach his status.
I wanted to ask you, there's no position in Philadelphia in any sport, I don't think, that takes quite as much scrutiny as starting quarterback in this city. Yeah. The favorite person is the backup quarterback, generally, until they are the starter in this city.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about how Jalen Hurts looked at the end of last season? And, obviously it's silly season, so everybody reacts at minicamp. What did he say? How did he look? What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts, who says 95% of the offense seems new coming into this next season?
Well, I've said this before publicly. I don't think he has a limitation. As a fan outside, not being on the practice field or in meeting rooms with him or on the sideline game day, I don't see any limitation. Last year, I think he did a real good job of controlling some uneasiness about everything going on within the scheme and within the play calling or within the game planning. It was just different from the person that was running it the year before. And boy, as an assistant coach, you need those quality guys. As a head coach, you're supposed to be the best of the best. When you get guys jobs as coordinators, they better be the best of the best, or you don't look like best of the best. If I don't hire Mike Martz, Al Saunders, John Masco, and Dana LeDuc in 1999 to help me with my football team, we don't win a world championship. I don't win them on my brilliance. I'll guarantee that. You need a complete organization to get to the top of that league. And he's restructured. He's probably given up a little bit of his control, but that'll give him time to be a better leader. So I'm very optimistic. Very optimistic.
Coach, you were famous for your preparation. The Eagles are about to embark on something this season, which is a little unusual, in having their first game in Brazil. If you were coaching now, how do you handle that? What do you do differently in order to prepare for the fact that you're traveling to another country and it's the beginning of the season?
Yeah, well, I'd handle it. If talk about handling it, I handle it poorly. My attitude wouldn't be real good about going over there. Okay. Okay. And I know that's part of the whole marketing scheme of the National Football League, and they aren't going to send losing teams over there. They're going to send teams with success that people are already aware of, regardless of where you travel. Okay. But I wouldn't like it. To me, if it doesn't help you, it hurts you. Okay. And I just I think that's a lot to ask. I mean, they will handle it well. They will handle it well, but I'm not excited about that approach. We've handled the games in England and now Germany and now going to Brazil. We've handled them okay, and teams have come back. But I don't think I've ever talked to a coach who said they really enjoyed it.
No, I can't imagine. I mean, they've got 2 new coordinators, a bunch of new players, and they got to start the season there. I did want to ask you, you talk about the importance of your own coordinators and Mike Martz, and you guys had the greatest show on turf. Kellen Moore comes in here, and, how you talk about the job, how he's done. He's got all these weapons locked up, through 2025, 2028. And all of a sudden, you move from an offense that last year they had pre-snap motion on about 11% of the plays, a league low. His Chargers had 26%. What do you think we're going to see out of the offense that he implements with this team next year? We're going to see a little more creativity?
Well, I think the defenses that face him are going to have more issues to be confronted with. You use motion to disguise and disrupt, okay, defensive schemes. And sometimes you'll use motion to dictate, because you'll go in a certain kind of emotion and it will dictate a defensive response that you're expecting. And I think it helps open it up, really. I was coaching the league when people just started initiating any kind of motion. The guy that did it really the most, I think, was Tom Landry. But anyway, I think I like the new coordinator. I've watched him coach a lot at Dallas. I like the fact that he still uses the I formation. There isn't a running back in the NFL that runs better from a shotgun than he does the I formation, okay? There just isn't one. Yeah. Every record holder in the history of running backs right now, the top guys are all made a lot of yards running from the I formation without concern with how many people are in the box, okay? So I think he'll add that dimension. I think the play action game will be better. I think they'll handle the blitz packages better. I think they'll handle certain things like that, because they have enough players there to make it work. So, and I think a change from time to time is good. It forces better focus every day. It's not the same old thing. Oh, we're running that again type attitude. Everything is new and stimulating. And sometimes it takes you a little while in the first part of the season to really get humming in it. I think it'll be really good for the offense.
Well, we could talk football with you all day, but we want to make sure we close. Most importantly, people should get their tickets now. It's the 7th annual Philadelphia Concord Elegance. The gala is Saturday night, June 22nd. The event is Sunday, June 23rd. Coach, thanks for all you do helping everybody in the community. That's more important than anything we ever talk football. So we appreciate you giving us the time.
Well, thank you. All that activity does more for me than I do for them, believe me.
Wow.
And I appreciate you bringing us on and talking about cool cars for kids.
Thanks, Coach. You have a great one.